China has created a series of islands, new Chinese territory, or at least territory that China asserts territorial sovereignty over, in the South China Sea, several hundred miles south of the Chinese shores, directly contesting 9 literal Southeast Asian states' territorial rights. This area also sits on top of some of what many believe to be significant reserves of oil and natural gas, so there are long-term profits to be had here as well. But my sense is that China is looking to assert itself as a regional hegemon for legitimate reasons. We just noted earlier that China is the emerging global power, and in the end, it'll be the U.S. and China managing their relationship in a competitive or partnering context. And that remains to play out for several years to come. India becoming a major power in its own right, population-wise, of course, but also economically. It has the fastest growth rate of any major country in the world today, 7 to 8%. And it is astride an Indian Ocean that is often overlooked here in Europe and in the United States. But we have about 36 countries that are astride the Indian Ocean. Half of the world's container traffic goes through the Indian Ocean between Europe, the Persian Gulf, and Asia. 1/3 of the world's cargo goes through the Indian Ocean. And China is looking now to establish naval bases in conjunction with Pakistan, which is a historic rival of India. And it is already establishing facilities in the tiny country of Djibouti in the Gulf of Aden, very near a critical choke point that leads up to the Suez Canal and connects the Indian Ocean to Europe. So India sees China projecting power in the Indian Ocean. Does India look now to challenge Chinese naval presence in the Indian Ocean? And do we have a potential India-China rivalry in the Indian Ocean? And recall, these two countries had a short conflict several decades ago, and there remains a level of mistrust between these two great powers. Russia controlling the sea lines of communication through the Arctic Ocean, an emerging area of increasing importance. And the Russians have about 40 icebreakers to make sure that where there is ice, they can open that area up for shipping. The only potential other country to have any capacity is the United States, which has 2 icebreakers. The Obama administration has just put in a contract for perhaps another 2 to come online in about 5 years. And so Russia will dominate the Arctic Ocean shipping for the next decade at the very least. How does Turkey, obsessed with ensuring there is no independent Kurdish state anywhere in the Middle East, respond? If it responds militarily to protect its own interests, does it drag NATO into an effort to prevent a Kurdish state from forming? And does NATO want to become involved in an area where Syria is under the absolute air control of Russian forces?